Line with Saltsburg News and Saltsburg Videos, and today we're here with Reverend Dan Satler, and he's going to tell us a little bit today about the church here. But first of all, Brother Satler, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you came from, and all that good stuff.
Well, I came to this church initially in 1998. This is my first church out of seminary. I grew up down toward Pittsburgh, near the Oakmont, Fox Chapel area. I was the full-time pastor here from 1998 to 2005. I left to do some other things for a few years. I was gone for about 10 years, but my wife and I stayed in town. We live up on Market Street. And just last year, the half-time pastor that they had here left, and they wanted to know if I could help out by being the half-time temporary supply / interim pastor. And I asked my wife of 20 years what she thought about that, and she immediately said she thought I should do it. So I've been here as the halftime pastor since last April in my second stint here in town.
And what's it been like for you being involved with the church, obviously pastoring and presenting the word weekly, things like that?
Oh, it's been a challenge, and it's been fun. I've grown into the role, I think. I really enjoy preaching on Sundays and taking care of other duties and responsibilities of a pastor. Plus this is just a half-time thing for me right now, and I also have a half-time job down in Blawnox working in an apartment complex. So I'm a tent maker now is what we call. I have a dual role. And so yeah, things have been, it's been challenging though. This is a large physical church. The congregation has been struggling in certain ways, as many of the churches in the community have been over the last 20 to 30, 40 years. But God is good, and we gather every Sunday at 11 o'clock for worship and try to take part in other activities that the church does for the community.
All right. Tell us a little bit about the church as far as what one can expect when they come into the church, and what a typical service is like, and what the church itself is like.
Well, we have a small congregation of people at this point. We typically get about anywhere from 30 to 40, 45 people in worship on a Sunday morning. Always looking for people to come and hear the word preached and taught. We have a traditional worship service, so if you're looking for something that's more contemporary, we are not the place right now. We have a very traditional service with an organ. Our organist, Sally Jankowski, came on board just last year after our prior organist, Claire Cribbs, who had played here since May 1st of 1968.
Wow.
He retired last November, and Sally's been with us for just over a year now. And Claire Cribbs was the third organist that this church has had since 1895.
Wow.
We had three organists in this church since 1895, full-time organists. So.
Wow, that's a nice little fun fact of the day. So, okay, and tell us a little bit about the history of the church, how it started, and how I don't think it was originally this size. If I remember right, I think I've heard that it was at one time small and then it grew or whatever.
Yes, the church originally, the congregation was founded in 1824, and the original church building, the original church structure was located where the volunteer fire department is right now. And there is an old cemetery behind the fire department that people are working to clean up and so forth in the past year. And that's where the original church was. It burned down in the early 1870s. And the congregation was growing some, and they decided that they were going to move it down the street a little bit and and construct a grand structure to the glory of God. And they brought it down here a few blocks, and they fired the brick right on site, and they built this church in 1873 and finished it in, I believe it was November of 1874. So this current building was here since 1874. 25 years later, the Mellon family, I believe it was the Mellon family from the Mellon family from Pittsburgh, the bankers and so forth, the money people, they donated an organ to the church. They had some kind of connection to the church. And the church originally was focused this way, and right down there is where the original, to my left is where the original chancel was, and you can still see that was the case. And at that point in 1900, the church did not have room down there for that organ, so they blew the wall out over on this side where the current chancel is and the pulpit and so forth. They blew that outside wall out and added on to the back a little bit, so there's offices on either side there. And the church used to actually just wrap around there. It used to wrap around that, and they since have blocked it off some. And this is the way the church has looked since 1900. And it's a beautiful building. The stained glass windows, if you can see some of our we have two older stained glass windows. This one right here by the cross was put in 1967. And Abe, if you could turn the other direction, out toward the front, toward Salt Street, that big one there, that is the only original etched glass window left, and it was put in when the church was built in 1874. All the other smaller windows have been put in the last 15 years, since around 2000 to 2005 that they were put in. We had some people donate money for certain things, and we decided to use that money for the stained glass windows, because it was going to cost as much or more to restore the old etched glass windows as it was to have new ones put in. So we had new ones put in.
Okay. All right. And obviously the church has had its share of problems as well since it's been built, as far as with weather and things like that. Was this the place when they had the big flood in town?
Yes, this church was here then. It didn't get affected by the flood because it sits up off the river.
Oh, okay.
There might have been some issue down in the basement, but nothing up top here. So.
Okay, and currently, the one of the big things going on right now at the church is the problem with the steeple. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, a number of years ago, it could have been 8 to 10 years ago, we had a lightning strike or two that did some damage to the steeple. We have a lightning rod up on top of the steeple, but it still did some damage. Unfortunately, the insurance company deemed that most of the damage was just due to general wear and tear from weather, water getting in at the base of the steeple and so forth, and expansion and contraction with the freezing water and just a lot of damage from the weather. So we had a company come look at it last year and told us what needed to get done. It's quite an expensive project. It's going to be about an $880,000 to $185,000 project. And the church has some of the money, and we're going to be doing fundraisers, and hopefully, people that might be interested in just keeping that icon of the community. It's the first thing that people see when they come in from any direction. You can see it from before you even get down into town. You can see it, and we just thought it was important to keep it. The contracting company told us that it wouldn't cost as much to have it removed, but it would still be quite an expense to have it removed. And the board here at the church decided that it was just worth it to spend that extra money to have the steeple repaired. So they're going to be starting here within the next 3 weeks of putting the scaffolding up, and it's going to be a 2 to 3 month project for them to just repair like the bottom part of the steeple spire itself, the point where the slate is on the roof, and then so far down from the base of that where the brick is, a lot of the brick, and then the interior of it was damaged, and they will be replacing that also. So it's quite a project to be undertaken here in our small town.
Yes, absolutely. All right. Well, thank you for your time. Appreciate the interview, and obviously such short notice as well. But this has been Abraham Klein with Saltsburg News and Saltsburg Videos. We thank you for watching. We hope that if you've enjoyed it, that you would like and share it with everybody that you know. And check out some of our other videos on Saltsburg Videos. This has been Abraham Klein with Dan Satler. Thank you.